Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that most people don't realize until it's too late. If you don't learn to control your thoughts will control you. And I'm not talking about just having a bad day. I'm talking about letting your entire life get steered off course because you never learned to manage what goes on between your two ears. Your mind is your greatest battlefield when you win in life. Every day, every minute, every second, there's a war going on inside your head. It's silent, invisible, and personal, but it's the most powerful fight you'll ever face. It's not against the world, not against your job, not against your boss, and definitely not against your circumstances. The real war is within. It's between your doubts and your dreams, between your fears and your faith, between your past and your potential. People spend so much time trying to control everything around them, but they ignore the most important territory they'll ever own, their mind. The truth is, if you don't learn how to win inside, you'll never truly win outside. What goes on in your mind determines how you see everything else. You can have talent, ambition, opportunity, but if your thoughts are poisoned with self-doubt, fear, comparison, and insecurity, then all of that potential gets locked up behind mental bars. It's not that the door is closed on your future, it's that you've allowed the enemy in your mind to convince you that you're not worthy of walking through. That's the real damage of an uncontrolled mind. It convinces you to play small, to stay safe, to give up before you even try. And most people don't even realize it's happening because it sounds like their own voice. Winning in your mind starts with awareness. You can't change what you won't confront. Too many people are walking through life reacting to thoughts like they facts. But just because you think something doesn't make it true. Just because you feel fear doesn't mean you're in danger. Just because you feel unqualified doesn't mean you're not capable. The mind can lie to you. The mind can be trained by trauma, by repetition, by failure, by the words of other people. If you don't take the wheel and drive it with intention, it will take you places you were never meant to go. It will park you in places that aren't your destination. That's why mastering your mindset is everything. When I say the mind is a battlefield, I'm talking about the fact that you are constantly under mental attack. There are voices trying to bring up your past, trying to tell you not enough, trying to make you believe that your struggle is stronger than your strength. And you've got to be equipped to fight back. You don't fight thoughts with feelings. You fight thoughts with better thoughts. You counter fear with truth. You cancel doubt with belief. You silence insecurity with evidence of your growth. You become your own coach, your own hype man, your own reminder of who you are and what you're capable of. Nobody can do that for you. They can support you, yes, but they can't win the war inside you. That's your job. This battle isn't something you win once and walk away. It's ongoing. Your thoughts don't take a day off, so neither can your awareness. You've got to monitor the mental traffic that passes through your mind. Which thoughts deserve to stay? Which ones need to be dismissed? Which ones are on your side? And which ones are just noise? You have to become a filter, not a sponge. Don't absorb everything. Filter it. Decide what gets to shape your day. Your mind responds to the story you tell it. So if you want to change your life, start by changing the story you repeat in your head. Your self-talk is not just harmless chatter. It is programming your belief system. Every sentence you speak to yourself is either building you up or tearing you down. You have to choose to be the one who builds. Because when you win in your mind, you don't just survive, you rise, you lead, you overcome. That's the power of controlling your thoughts. That's why the mind is the greatest battlefield. Negative thoughts are not facts. They're feelings trying to hijack your future. The truth is, Most people live their lives listening to thoughts that were never meant to guide them. Just because something pops into your mind doesn't mean it deserves your attention, and it certainly doesn't mean it's true. But we've been conditioned to believe that whatever we think must be valid. We let our emotions shape our beliefs, and our beliefs shape our decisions, and before we know it, we're walking in the direction of a life that we never intended to live. Negative thoughts don't knock on your door loudly. They creep in quietly, often dressed in a disguise of self-protection. They tell you things like, don't try that, you'll fail, or they won't accept you, or you're not ready. These are not objective truth. These are emotional reactions formed by fear, pain, disappointment, or the memory of past failure. And when left unchecked, they can paralyze your progress. People don't lose battles in their lives because they lack talent or resources. They lose because they believe the lies their mind tells them when things get tough. They believe that because something didn't work out before, it never will. They believe that because someone else hurt them, they can't trust again. They believe that one moment of weakness defines who they are forever. But all of these are just emotional impressions. They're not the full story. Your feelings may be real, but that doesn't mean your feelings are right. You can feel discouraged and still be destined for greatness. You can feel afraid and still be fully capable. You can feel like quitting and still have everything you need to finish strong. But if you let those thoughts run the show, they'll hijack your potential. They'll keep you in cycles of self-doubt and hesitation, never stepping forward, never growing, never breaking through. Every time a negative thought shows up, you have a decision to make. You can either believe it and give it power, or you can question it and reclaim control. The mistake most people make is they don't even pause to evaluate. They don't challenge the thought. They don't stop to ask, is this true? Is this helpful? Is this thought moving me forward or holding me back? They just accept it as reality. And by doing that, they allow their feelings to set their limitations. Your future can't be built on the foundation of unchallenged negativity. You've got to develop the habit of separating what you feel from what is true. The more you practice that separation, the stronger your mental discipline becomes. You begin to recognize patterns. You start seeing the same lies trying to re-enter your life, and this time, you're ready for them. It's not about ignoring your emotions, it's about refusing to be governed by them. You acknowledge them, you listen, but then you lead. You tell your mind where to go instead of letting your emotions dictate your direction. That's what mental strength really looks like. It's not never feeling fear, it's knowing what to do with fear when it shows up. It's not about always feeling confident. It's about pushing forward even when you don't. That's how you stop negative thoughts from hijacking your future. You take the driver's seat back. You speak truth louder than the lies. You stop rehearsing defeat and start speaking possibility. Because what you repeat becomes your belief. And what you believe shapes your reality. You can't live a positive life with a mind that only knows how to expect the worst. You have to train your thoughts to support the life you're trying to build. And that training starts the moment you decide that just because a thought feels strong doesn't mean it's right. Discipline starts with recognizing your inner voice and choosing what you feed it. Every single person has an inner voice, that constant chatter in your mind that speaks louder than anything around you. Sometimes it lifts you up, encourages you, gives you clarity, and sometimes tears you down, fills you with fear, and keeps you stuck. But most people don't even realize how much power that voice holds. They just go through the day reacting to whatever it says. That voice is shaped by everything you've heard, everything you believe, everything you've experienced. It remembers your mistakes, your pain, your failures, and it will use those memories to try to convince you that you're not enough. That's why the starting point of self-discipline is not motivation, it's awareness. You have to learn to recognize when your inner voice is helping you grow and when it's keeping you small. Discipline isn't about willpower alone. It's about making choices about what gets access to your mind. What are you watching? What are you listening to? Who are you surrounding yourself with? All of that is feeding your thoughts, shaping that inner voice, and influencing your decisions. If you keep feeding your mind garbage, don't be surprised when it starts speaking trash back to you. The mind is a reflection of what you consistently expose it to. If your inner voice is full of doubt, fear, and negativity, that's not a coincidence. It's a result of what you've allowed in over time. So if you want to change your thinking, you got to change your diet, what you consume mentally every day. Discipline means being intentional about what enters your mental space. You have to treat your mind like it's sacred, because it is. You've got to talk back to your inner voice when it starts going in the wrong direction. You don't have to accept every thought it sends you. You don't have to sit with every negative narrative that pops up. You have a choice. Discipline is not just about action, it's about choosing your focus. When your mind starts spinning with fear, you can focus on truth. When your thoughts start drifting toward comparison, you can focus on gratitude. When your inner voice says you're not enough, you can remind yourself of everything you've already overcome. It's a practice, and the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. It doesn't mean the negative thoughts go away, but it means they stop having control over your direction. The most successful people aren't the ones who never hear negative thoughts. They're the ones who have trained themselves not to listen. They hear it, they recognize it, but they don't follow it. That's the difference. And you get there by building that muscle of discipline, by noticing the thought, questioning it, and choosing a better one. It's the small moments that build strength. That moment when you want to complain, but you choose to stay focused. That moment when you want to quit, but you take one more step. That moment when your mind tells you to play it safe, but you lean into courage instead. Those moments build the voice you start to trust. And the more you trust that disciplined voice, the more confident you become in your path. Discipline is built on repetition. You can't feed your mind strength once a week and expect to be mentally tough. You've got to be consistent. You've got to check yourself daily. You've got to correct your thoughts when they drift. It's not punishment, it's freedom. Because when you control your mind, you control your life. And it all begins with recognizing that inner voice and deciding you're not going to let it run on autopilot anymore. You're going to be the one who feeds it truth, who teaches it focus, who speaks with intention. That's how you build real mental discipline. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. And every time you choose to lead your mind instead of letting your mind lead you, you take back more control over your future. You become what you constantly think about. Guard your focus like gold. Everything in your life is shaped by your dominant thoughts. If you're constantly thinking about failure, fear, and what could go wrong, you're training your mind to expect disappointment. But if you focus on growth, progress, and what's possible, you begin to rewire your thinking toward opportunity. Your focus is like a magnifying glass. Whatever you hold it over will grow bigger in your life. That's why it's so critical to protect your thoughts. Because what you consistently dwell on will become the story you live out. The challenge is we live in a world full of distractions, comparisons, and noise that constantly fight for our attention. If you're not intentional about what you think about, the world will decide for you. And usually it won't point you in the direction of peace or progress. It will pull you into fear, insecurity, and limitation. Most people don't realize that their thoughts are shaping their reality in real time. If you start your day thinking you're already behind, that energy will carry into how you show up. If you go into a situation expecting failure, you won't give your best effort. If you walk into a room believing nobody values your voice, you'll speak smaller. It's not because the situation was impossible. It's because your thinking made you shrink before you had a chance to shine. That's how powerful focus is. It's not just about what you think. It's about what you repeat, what you meditate on, and what you mentally rehearse. Your repeated thoughts become your beliefs, and your beliefs guide every single choice you make. So when you train your focus, you're actually shaping your future. The problem is most people let their focus drift to whatever feels urgent or emotional in the moment. They let their mind replay mistakes, arguments, rejections, and disappointments. They give their attention to people who don't value them or the situations they can't control. And all of that mental energy drains their power to create something better. You have a limited amount of focus every day. And if you're not careful, you spend it on things that don't move your life forward. That's why protecting your focus is one of the most important habits you can build. It's not selfish. It's necessary. You can't grow if your attention is always scattered. You can't thrive if your mind is constantly full of worry or comparison. You have to get serious about where your energy goes. Focus is not just about productivity, it's about identity. The more you focus on something, the more you begin to embody it. Focus on negativity long enough and you'll start to see yourself as a victim. Focus on discipline long enough and you'll see yourself as strong. Focus on fear and it becomes your lens. Focus on possibility and it becomes your mindset. What you think about daily is what you become permanent. That's not just philosophy. It's how your brain actually works. Your neural pathways are shaped by repetition. What you repeat, you reinforce. That means every thought is an investment in who you're becoming. And if you want to become something different, you have to start thinking something different. You have to set boundaries in your mind just like you do in your relationship. Not every thought deserves your time. Not every worry is worth your energy. Not every distraction needs your attention. Learn to say no mentally before you say yes emotionally. Practice catching your focus drifting and pulling it back. Practice choosing thoughts that empower you even when it's hard. That's how you build a mindset that serves you instead of sabotaging. Focus isn't something you stumble into. It's something you fight for every day. And the reward is clarity, strength, and alignment with who you were meant to become. You don't have to fix everything at once, but you do have to fix your focus because your mind will always follow your attention. And where your mind goes, your life follows. Change your thoughts, change your emotions, change your outcomes. That's not just a nice quote or some feel-good slogan. That's a principle of life. Everything you experience emotionally is rooted in the way you interpret what's happening around you. Two people can go through the exact same situation and feel two completely different things, not because the situation was different, but because their thoughts about it were. One person sees failure as the end, the other sees it as a lesson. One sees delay as rejection, the other sees it as redirection. Your thoughts act like a filter, shaping how you feel, how you respond, and ultimately what kind of results you get in your life. If you change the way you think, everything else changes with it. But most people never stop to think about what they're thinking about. They just feel something, react, and live in cycles without ever realizing they're in control of the first domino, thought. Every outcome starts with a thought. Whether it's how you show up at work, how you respond to challenges, how you treat people, or how you view yourself, it all begins in your head. If your thoughts are negative, fearful, or destructive, your emotions will follow suit. You'll feel anxious, angry, discouraged, or hopeless. And when you're in that emotional state, your decisions shift. You hesitate, you snap, you shrink, you settle, and when you keep making decisions from that emotional space, your results reflect that. That's why you can't just try to change outcomes by forcing action. You've got to go deeper and address the source, the thoughts that trigger the feelings that lead to the behavior. Once you understand that link, you stop chasing surface level fixes and start creating real transformation. This is where self-awareness comes into play. You got to be able to pause in a moment and ask yourself, what am I thinking right now that's making me feel this way? Most people don't do that. They blame the outside world, the situation, the person, the stress. But real power comes from owning your internal process. Your thoughts are not random. They are programmed either by your past, your environment, or your intentional design. If you don't take control of that programming, it will control you. But when you start to interrupt those patterns, when you start replacing thoughts that keep you stuck with thoughts that move you forward, your emotions shift. You feel more confident, more peaceful, more in control. And that emotional state changes how you show up. It changes how you speak, how you walk, how you solve problems, how you handle pressure. And that new way of showing up produces better results. People think emotions just happen to them. But in most cases, emotions are the result of interpretation. You don't feel fear just because of the unknown. You feel fear because of what you told yourself about the unknown. You don't feel insecure just because someone criticized you. You feel insecure because you believe what they said. You don't feel stuck because of your circumstances. You feel stuck because your mind told you there's no way out. But when you change the narrative in your head, you change the emotion in your body. And when your emotions shift, so does your energy, your decision-making, your momentum. That's how transformation begins. Not just from changing your habits, but from changing your thinking first. It takes practice. It takes discipline. You have to challenge your thoughts like a lawyer in a courtroom. Is this thought based on truth or fear? Is it helpful or harmful? Is it pushing me forward or holding me back? When you start treating your thoughts like choices instead of facts, you reclaim power over your emotions. You stop being a prisoner to moods and start being a leader of your own life. You stop waiting for life to feel better and start creating better from the inside out. That's how powerful your thoughts are. They don't just influence how you feel, they direct what kind of life you build. Your thoughts shape your emotions shape your behavior, and your behavior determines your outcomes. So if you want better outcomes, it doesn't start with the world changing. It starts with you changing what you allow to live in your mind. Controlling your thoughts is a daily decision, not a one-time event. Most people think that once they've had a breakthrough or a moment of clarity, the hard part is over. But that's not how the mind works. Your thoughts don't just stay positive or focus on their own. Life keeps happening. Challenges keep coming. Distractions keep showing up. And with each new day, your mind has to be reset, refocused, and reminded of who you are and where you're going. Just like you wouldn't expect your body to stay clean without regular showers, you can't expect your mind to stay sharp, clear, and aligned without intentional daily effort. Controlling your thoughts isn't a one-time switch. It's a lifelong practice, and it's built one decision at a time, day by day. Each morning, you wake up with a fresh opportunity to decide how you're going to direct your thoughts. Are you going to let yesterday's failures take the lead again? Are you going to replay every negative conversation, every doubt, every fear that tried to hold you down before? Or are you going to start with gratitude, with intention, with clarity about what kind of person you want to be? That decision sets the tone for your entire day. But you can't just decide once in the morning and expect that mindset to carry you through. You're going to be tested. You'll get triggered. You'll face disappointments. Someone will say something that bothers you. Something won't go as planned. And in those moments, you'll have to choose again. You'll have to decide again. That's the power of mental discipline. It's not about never struggling. It's about learning how to redirect your focus the moment it starts drifting in the wrong direction. You don't control every thought that enters your mind, but you do control which ones you allow to stay. Thoughts are like guests at the door. They may knock without invitation, but you choose who gets to come in and sit down. You choose which ones you entertain, which ones you feed, and which ones you show the way out. But that choice has to be made over and over again. It's not automatic. The more often you practice choosing the right thoughts, the easier it becomes to catch the wrong ones. Just like building a muscle. At first it feels hard and unnatural, but with repetition, your mind starts to respond differently. You begin to recognize the lies quicker. You begin to quiet the noise faster. You begin to lead your thoughts instead of letting your thoughts lead you. Sometimes people get discouraged because they feel like their progress disappears when old thought patterns show back up. But that's not failure, it's normal. Growth doesn't mean you never struggle again. It means you respond differently when you do. Controlling your thoughts is not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. It's about noticing when your mind drifts off course and gently bringing it back. It's about being committed to the process, even on days when it feels like you're starting from scratch. Some days will feel easier than others. Some days you'll feel powerful and focused. Other days it might be a battle just to stay grounded. But every time you show up and choose your thoughts with intention, you're strengthening the part of you that doesn't give up. You have to create habits that support your mindset. That might mean journaling, meditating, praying, reading, speaking affirmations, or surrounding yourself with people who challenge your thinking. The tools don't matter as much as the consistency. You've got to build a system that reminds you of who you want to be. You've got to stay aware because your environment, your emotions, and your past experiences are always trying to pull you back into old patterns. Controlling your thoughts takes vigilance, it takes humility, it takes a willingness to do the mental work even when no one's watching. And the truth is, the longer you stay consistent, the more natural it becomes. You start to notice that certain thoughts don't have the same grip on you anymore. You realize you can move through tough moments without falling apart mentally. You start to see that you're not just reacting to life, you're responding with clarity and control. All of that comes from daily choice, small shifts, and a commitment to not letting your thoughts run wild without direction. The mind is powerful, but it works for you, not the other way around. And when you make it a priority to lead it daily, your life begins to reflect that same sense of order, purpose, and strength